All right. Happy Monday, everybody. Hello from New Concord, Kentucky, is where we're actually at now. And we're going to do some speed tests today. We're actually going to do a recorded version of the speed tests. Normally, I go live and give you a live speed test from wherever we're at. However, when we stopped in Rockwood, Tennessee about 10 days ago, I stopped for just about 2 hours so I could do a demonstration. So I quickly did a speed test while I was there across all three networks. And I'm going to share those results with you here in just a moment. So we moved on from there. We went to Pumpkin Center, Tennessee, which is a motorcycle resort. I've also done some speed tests from there. We recorded those as well, and I'll do those probably later in the week. But today we're going to focus on Rockwood, Tennessee, which is a town in central eastern Tennessee. So as always, we travel here at Pause and Effect for those of you that follow us. So we primarily focus on dog-friendly content, motorcycle riding, RV park reviews, and things like that. But I work from the road, and an important part of working from the road is the Wi-Fi connectivity so that I can do video demonstrations, web conferences, things like that. And so we actually have 3 different hotspots that we're going to go through and test today. I see Linda Barker here. Thanks for coming in. How are you doing today, Linda? And we're going to do 3 different hotspot tests. We'll do a couple of tests, I think, on each one, if I remember the recording. And the first one that we have is our Netgear Nighthawk, and it is on AT&T network, but is through OTR Mobile. And it is unlimited with basically no throttling unless you exceed their fair use policy, and there's no real clear picture on the fair use policy. So we've used as much as close to 150 gigs, I think, and we have not been throttled on this plan. Now, this plan you can no longer get, so hopefully you don't get too excited if this is the best one, because this is the Blue Blast plan on OTR Mobile, and we were grandfathered in. They came out with another plan, which is on T-Mobile. So even though this is an AT&T device here, it's actually a T-Mobile service. And so this is called their Pink Blast plan on OTR Mobile, but it's on the T-Mobile network. And so we'll give a test on that as well. And then we also have, and let me say this one is unlimited, no throttling until 50 gigs. So at 50 gigs, there it does say that there's throttling in congested areas. So not definite throttling, but throttling in congested areas. So far, we haven't had throttling when we're using it, but we haven't exceeded, I think right now we've just now, for the first time, exceeded 50 gigs. We're actually almost at 60 gigs. But when we did those tests at Rockwood 10 days ago, we were under the 50 gig. And then we also have our Verizon. This is our Verizon hotspot directly from Verizon. No reseller here. This is unthrottled up to 15 gigs, and then it's pretty severely throttled after 15 gigs. So it's not really usable after 15 gigs. So we are going to share my screen here to do some tests, and we will get going. Yeah, Priscilla was coming and checking out. So Presley is actually at the vet. So Chris went to pick her up. So we've been having some issues with Presley. She had, when we were in Iowa with Aaron Jimison, we had some issues with Presley. She got sick, and she got better from that, but now she's just having a problem with accidents in the house and doesn't seem to be able to hold her bladder. So we're not sure if she's got a bladder infection or something else. Hopefully it's something simple and not anything serious. So Chris should be back from the vets here in a little bit with Presley, but Priscilla's doing just fine. All right, so let's get right to those tests. Let me share my screen here. And we'll come over to their speed test. And as I said, this was recorded before, so we're just going to go ahead and run this speed test. And you can see here we've got the AT&T network. Our 476 network is our AT&T network, and that's on that Nighthawk modem. That's this one here. We ran a speed test on that first, and we'll see what kind of results we're getting. So I find this one to be usually the most consistent. Just in almost all areas, there is some type of signal. As you can see here in Rockwood, Tennessee, it was a little light on the download speed on our first test. and a little light on the upload too. So these 3 megs down and 1 meg up is probably going to cause you some latency if you did do a conference call and we're trying to share screens. So it may get by, but most likely you want to look at 3 meg up, 3 meg down for sure, at the minimum, to have a good session. So next, let me go back. What did we switch to? Go back just a second here. We switched it to the other AT&T network. So we had a 5G option, and now we're just going on our straight plain AT&T network, still on the same router. It's just the plain network, just to see if there's anything better on the 4G network instead of the 5G. So in the test results here, if I remember, they're pretty close to the same. .6 on the down, and testing the up, it's around the same thing, 1 megs or so. Actually, upload was even worse. So again, AT&T, while we were in Rockwood, probably would not have used their network for my video conference. So next we're going to run a test, and we're actually going to switch over to our T-Mobile network. So our T-Mobile network from Rockwood, Tennessee. We were actually, specific location, we were in the Walmart parking lot of Rockwood, Tennessee. I'll run that test now on our T-Mobile device, which is through OTR Mobile, the Pink Blast plan. It's around $80 a month. And again, that plan is unthrottled up to 50 gigs, and then after 50 gigs, it is throttled in congested areas. But as you can see here, it was not working at all in the Walmart parking lot of Rockwood, Tennessee. So we tried it again, run another test. Even though this says AT&T Wi-Fi, it's T-Mobile. So on the second test, actually it's a little better. So the first test probably just wasn't fully connected. The second test on T-Mobile is actually a little bit better than AT&T. You got a little bit more solid signal upload as well. So T-Mobile not looking too bad from Rockwood, Tennessee. I'm just going to pause the video real quick and come over here and see if we have any questions. No specific questions at this point. So we will jump back over to our tests and continue on with our testing. I always like to try 1, 2, maybe even 3 tests on each network because it does vary. Especially the first test when we run a lot of times is not quite as good. So as you can see here, the second test on the T-Mobile network was quite a bit better. 16 megabits up download and around 6 megabits up. So this would be perfectly fine for the most part, as long as it wasn't intermittent for video conference and conference calling, that type of stuff. So next we're going to jump up here, and we're actually going to switch over. I think we're going to go to the Verizon network. So again, this is the Verizon network on the MiFi Jetpack here, directly through Verizon, not through a reseller. Normally, Verizon and AT&T are our best two. In this case, T-Mobile's look a little bit better than AT&T. Let's see what we get on Verizon. Well, obviously, we have a clear winner. Verizon in Rockwood, Tennessee, from the Walmart parking lot, was rock solid. Pretty high speeds, over 50 megs down, and quite a few megs up as well. You can see around the same amount, 45, 50 megs up. So clearly, for my web conference video call demonstration that I did there in the Walmart parking lot, I used the Verizon hotspot. So just to be sure, we switch back over to some of the networks and give another run through those again, just in case there was something off with any of the networks. So we're going to run AT&T again. And again, the AT&T is the Nighthawk, which is one of the best routers out there. So you're going to get if you've got a good signal on AT&T, you're going to get a pretty good service using this router. It's got a really good antenna to pick up signal, and I also should say we're not using any WeBoost or any cell boosters here. We had a WeBoost, but the antenna was broken, so I have not reinstalled a new antenna yet. So again, AT&T is coming up on the bottom end here of our test. So it's right on that range, especially that upload speed, that would make me a little bit leery of doing a customer call using the AT&T network. Now, what I do sometimes is I will share my screen, but I will dial in through my cell phone. And sometimes I can get by with a little bit less bandwidth when I do it that way. The next test, we're actually going to run AT&T on my hotspot. So I connected to my phone hotspot. This was from my actual iPhone. So I just connected to my hotspot. It's still the AT&T network, but it's direct from AT&T, not OTR Mobile. We're going to see if there's any difference between the AT&T test on direct AT&T versus OTR Mobile. So a little bit higher on the download speed here. This would be AT&T network via AT&T on an iPhone hotspot from Rockwood, Tennessee, Walmart parking lot. Still, the upload speed is right around that 1 meg frame. So while it might get you by, it's definitely not the best option if you are looking for the best Wi-Fi in Rockwood, Tennessee. I'm going to go ahead and run one more final test on T-Mobile to see if it has about the same results as it did earlier. T-Mobile was a bit better than the AT&T connection earlier. We had a couple of tests at the beginning. One was right around the same as AT&T. The second one was quite a bit better. And you can see this last one that we did on T-Mobile was back to being around the same as the AT&T, except the upload speeds are a little bit better on T-Mobile. So you might have a little bit more balance. If you're sharing your screen and you're going to be doing a lot of talking, T-Mobile would be better than the AT&T option here, but not near as good as the Verizon option. Finally, we'll do Verizon one more time just to make sure that first test ended up really good, was not a fluke. Make sure we're connected to our Verizon network. We'll run another test here. And again, even better than the first connection. We were around 50 megs down and 50 megs up. We're pushing 75, 80 megs at the first part of this test, and starting to creep back a little bit. But either way, you're in really good shape with the Verizon hotspot in Rockwood, Tennessee. If you have any questions about specific areas or service providers, I didn't say earlier, I've actually spent close to 30 years in telecommunications. So not only do I use the products and have some experience that way, but I have quite a bit of experience in my career. So you can always send questions to contact us at pawseffect.com. That's contact us at pawzeffect.com. And so I think I tried one more AT&T because I was surprised that AT&T was coming up so poor on these tests, because usually AT&T and Verizon are both pretty good. But as you can see, AT&T just was not getting it done. So I'm going to go ahead and kill this. I think we've shown all the different tests we need to show for the 3 different providers. We don't have a Sprint hotspot, but I would expect Sprint to be on the lower end, more like what AT&T and T-Mobile are showing up here. So clearly, Verizon is the way to go for any reasonable high-speed connection when you're looking at mobile hotspots in Rockwood, Tennessee. Any questions from the audience about the tests that we're doing, what we're running them on, any other areas that you'd like to see us test from? We really don't have a plan. Basically, as I move around, I just test. So we've done, if you're interested in rural Missouri, there's a couple areas in Missouri we've done some from Murray, Kentucky, Milan, Tennessee, Amana, Iowa. We did test from all of those locations in the last month or so. We're going to continue to be testing along the way. Our next one up will be around Maryville, Tennessee, which was Pumpkin Center RV Resort. So when we're at an RV resort, not only will we test our different hotspots, but we'll also test the RV resort out as well. So stay tuned for another session where we go through how Maryville, Tennessee's Wi-Fi is. I see Victoria May Wallace. Hey, how are you guys doing? We're just about ready to wrap up here today, unless there's some questions around Wi-Fi testing, internet, anything technical along with your high-speed service as you travel. Happy to answer any questions you might have. And if you don't feel like typing them in chat here again, we can answer those questions via email. Contact us at pauseeffect.com. I'll stick around just for a couple more minutes here, see if anybody has any final questions. I guess I'll add that I mentioned we have a reseller, OTR Mobile. There is quite a few resellers out there, and they change from time to time. Actually, they change fairly often. That's one thing to be concerned with when you get a reseller, is their contract can run out with their provider. So while this is OTR Mobile and it's on the AT&T network, we almost had a problem where they were going to cancel this and force us to move to T-Mobile. And you'll see if you go back and do more of the videos where we've done, is usually T-Mobile comes up way less than AT&T. In this case, they were about the same in Rockwood, Tennessee. Most other locations, it's going to be AT and T-Mobile, AT and Verizon that are going to have your best experience and best service. So keep that in mind when you go through a reseller. You may get shut off at any moment, because they basically were going to shut us off. We were in the process of looking at switching, and they told us, okay, we're going to grandfather some AT&T people because they were losing so many customers, because we were just not going to switch. So whenever we decided to add T-Mobile, I went ahead and did OTR Mobile because they've been good to us. But there are a lot of resellers out there. You can get more information. There's one called, I think it's called Mobile Internet Resources.com. I'll have to put the link in the video here. They're full-time RVers as well, and they have a mobile internet resources website that you can go to and get all different types of information and find out more information about all of those different resellers, as well as the different networks, cell phone plans, boost systems, all of the different type of stuff. All right, folks, thanks for coming in and seeing the speed test. We hope you all have a great day. We appreciate you joining. And if you have not subscribed to our channel, we definitely appreciate you giving us a subscribe. And we will see you on the next speed test, or video premiere, or any of the lives that we typically join throughout the RV community that are out there. Thanks, everyone.